almost 2 days, so so you get on the scene, yes. And I was thinking, like, you know,
the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Football, you basically have a good 10 to 12 years, and that's what it is.
When you have a lot of people retiring early, it's funny. A lot of me and my alumni from UVA, where I graduated from, one of our fellow Wahoos, he retired yesterday, 32 years old. To Shaw Ferguson, and he's been in the league like 10 or 12 years. So like you said, a lot of guys are making that change on their own now because they're seeing a lot of things from the the concussion movement,
right?
Stuff that's been happening. Is not the noun, is the effects later, because you see different stories of men are in like their 50s and some are committing suicide because of the banging and the voices or the concussions. And
did you see that?
I haven't got a chance to see it. But
not the movie, but did you see those effects?
I have seen concussions in college where guys have played that whole entire game and didn't realize they was at a football game.
Wow.
But like before the big emphasis came about the whole concussions and what's going on, we was taught you just run to the wall. You can't be soft. You shake it off and get back in it. So
the wrong attitude to have.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really internal. Like you really doing damage, not just to your bones,
right,
but to your mind.
Everything. Right. And later on down the line, because just like you said, once the game is over, when you've been in a game and you think about it, because I tell people the NFL, any sports, whether it's male or female, is a semi-military, because you're told when to get up, when to work out, what to eat, when to play. All right, now you got a curfew. You got to be in the bed by this time. You do it for years and years, and all of a sudden, bam, it's done. So what do you do?
Right.
So just like in a military that have with PTSD, we have that because we so used to having a certain way. And I remember watching this Brian Gumbel on HBO, it was like years ago, and a guy would act like he was getting dressed, a real good football player, would walk his daughter to the bus stop, and he would come back in the house, close the curtains, and just sit there because he didn't know how else to handle himself. Because he was so used to being told what to do, because our schedule are laid out. By this time, you got to do this. By this time, you got to do this. Eat at this time, back on the field. So,
hey, what's up? This is Nate, host of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Tune in every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live, here live on BeExposedRadio.com.
Check out what you missed on Be Exposed Radio.
Listen to Elizabeth Warren talking about Black lives and Black life.
Police are not occupying armies. This is America, not a war zone. I speak today with full knowledge that I have not personally experienced and can never truly understand the fear, the oppression, and the pain that confronts African Americans every day.
Don't you just want to kill yourself? I mean, not from what she was saying, but from the music that was playing in the background. I just want to, oh gosh, but every word she said was prolific, and it did not come from what is now becoming mainstream as white privilege. She has a sensibility about her, and the way she speaks about different things that has, from the first time I saw her, I can't remember what state she's in. I think she's in like North Carolina or something like that, somewhere I'm not going. That some kind of sensibility about her that makes me like her for president. But she's not running. We have this old guy that looks like he should be on the popcorn box. Then we have Martin O'Malley. Fine. We'll settle if we must. Hillary, who I like, but she just has to fight against all this controversy, and that's the hard part of it all. Then we have Huckabee. I could have swore he died. Like in one of those books, like a fairy tale book. Trump. We're going to get to you in a moment. Meet with all these black folk in one room. And they just fell for it. Like, he must have been giving out $100 bills behind them.
Check out the Talk Lately show every Tuesday nights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on Be Exposed Radio.
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
What does hustle hard mean to you? What does that signify in your life?
That's a lifestyle for me. You know what I mean? Like, true story. I was born into a family and a community of hustlers. Now, let's get focused right quick, because when people hear the word hustler, they confuse it with con artist or something negative. So they like to call people entrepreneurs, right? But the definition, and I'm paraphrasing, but the definition of hustle is forced movement or to be hurried, right? But we're not talking about just pushing other people. Sometimes you got to push yourself, and that what makes you a hustler. True story. So the thing about it is, like, when it comes to hustling, listen, quick story. I used to go buy juleps a lot, right? And my grandmother used to make me.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist
Hello,
Exchange.
hello, y'all, and welcome to another installment of the Artist Exchange Radio Show, powered by BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host for the day, Sweet Baby Zaki, aka Zakia Ayanna, and I'm in the studio by myself. This is the first time I've done this. I'm a little excited, a little nervous, but I'm here for it. Nate is our engineer for the day, and today is a hot topic day. We had a whole list of hot topics, and the first on the list was this poem by one of my favorite poets, one of my favorite artists, Black Chakra. He did a piece about his brother called Father Stretch My Hands, and it was a very moving piece, a powerful piece. Are we playing it? We playing it on the air?
Keep talking about it. I'm bringing it up now.
Oh, okay. And yeah, it's just, violence. I bring it back to, nobody kill anybody, nobody shoot anybody. The ceasefires that we have is all very important. We discussed this a few weeks ago, to just to love each other and to just not be violent. And it's just the loss of life. Any way a life is lost is tragic, but to lose a life to violence it just takes a different feeling, and because you don't know it could have been avoided. The person who pulled the trigger, or the person that choked somebody to death, or the person that stabbed somebody, what would have happened if they didn't have that anger or that rage or whatever it is in them that drove them to take a life. So I feel like it's important that we stay aware and stay mindful of our feelings and our thoughts, not just for ourselves but for other people. Empathy goes a long way. So here's the piece by Black Chakra, Father Stretch My Hands.
Amen. We gonna send him home today. This hearse be chariot, and the guards are ready to receive my boy. We gonna send him home today. They say the funeral is a celebration. So let this verse and the Bible verse serve as reverse birth. We all children of earth, and today we give you back to it. Ashe. Amen. I do not rejoice in your death, but I will rejoice in how you died in Baltimore. Whenever I lose one of my friends to natural causes, it's a blessing, yeah, you. When the bullet be your boogeyman and doesn't get you, it's a victory, amen. It's something holy about a body being put in a hole and it's not full of holes, God bless. These streets ain't make you its dinner, so maybe you died, but you didn't get digested. Ain't no cop put they filthy hands on you, boy, you beautiful. And that suit's just as nice as the day you went to prom in it 5 years ago. You so sacred. You get a halo and not a hashtag your 9th grade year. I didn't pull you in when we dapped. You were so frail, I was afraid I was gonna hug you to death. Now I wish I could hold you to life. Then lost so many of my friends. My high school reunion's gonna be in a cemetery. Our list of achievements since graduating, staying alive. I remember you used to rap with me. Now I'm up here freestyling your obituary. Your eulogy was a cappella, but now your mother begging on this coffin at a beat box. We gonna send him home today. Don't know disease, get the laugh last, son. You beat B-more. Flew out of hell on a cloud. You like Goku in them skies, boy. Look how many spirits bombed when you passed. There have been no uprisings, but there has been a riot in my chest since you left. Ain't it joyful to go peacefully? Ain't it nice to know that it wasn't drugs, racism, murder, suicide, John Hopkins, police brutality, prison, not hateful hands, not jealous hands, just God hands. Ain't we proud you ain't die like a black boy? That your justice is just this. We gonna send him home today, wrapped in love and not an investigation. No trials, just smiles. You home now. You home now. You home now. Amen.
That was a very, very powerful and moving piece by Black Chakra, aka Jacob Mayberry. If you don't follow him, please do follow him on social media. Facebook, Jacob Mayberry. Instagram, I believe is I'm gonna come back to the Instagram. I know it, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. But yeah, that's just a testament to the power of violence, where where you're writing a celebratory piece of somebody dying and it not being at the hands of violence. So again, empathy goes a long way, and just just love each other. And that was a fantastic opening to the show, I gotta say. So on a little lighter note, it's Sagittarius season, y'all. Hey, my birthday is Wednesday. I'm excited. And it's just I'm excited about that. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on around town. I'm not sure exactly what it is I want to do yet, but yeah, it's a month full of events. I was not prepared for this exactly, and I wish I had my whole list of stuff. Maybe when I come back from the break, I'll have my list of stuff that I can discuss about the events going on this month. But there's a whole lot going on as far as the sexual harassment thing. I want to get into that a little bit. And it seems like every day or several times a day that there's somebody new coming out that we don't suspect, or I'm not shocked by any of it because of the lascivious nature of the industry. Like, I've been aware of how things operate. I've read things, I've seen things, I've read a lot. And I've read things over the years where women or even men have come out and said that they were treated a certain way or harassed or whatever. So I don't know why exactly now it is that all of this is coming out, but you have Russell Simmons, you got Matt Lauer, you got all of these people who are like, people uphold to a certain standard and in this untouchable place as celebrities or public figures, and they're coming out as having harassed or sexually assaulted or abused people, which is messed up. It's an abuse of power, and they just take advantage of the position that they're in, and I think it's a sick way to be. I'm glad that people are coming out and speaking about the things that they go through in the industry surrounded by certain people. I'm just waiting, like, what's next? And I'm waiting to see what women are going to come out. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if men would feel comfortable enough, or even if men feel like they are being harassed by a woman because of the nature of the dynamic between men and women, and especially in the working world. But I'm just waiting. I'm sitting back and watching this whole thing, and I'm waiting to see. And Chenier posted a question today. If I could pull that up real quick. She always posts her discussions, and she had a go back to the violence. Go back to the violence. Go. Let's make it Oh, go back to violence? Okay, Nate said go back to violence. I got to talk about violence, y'all. The solution, okay, all right, so we will go back to talking about the solution. I don't have a solution. I don't know, what can be done. I'm doing my own individual thing as far as that goes, and I'm just, that's just me being kind and being supportive and talking through people. I've actually talked through 2 conflicts this week, and I was proud of myself for that, because traditionally my what do you call it? My default attitude is extremely petty, and I'm extremely argumentative. But I discussed my way through 2 conflicts this week, and I felt really good about that. And conflict resolution, how realistic is that in these streets? I don't know. I ain't never been like a real street hood, ear to the street type of person. I've been in the fringes of that because of the life some relatives used to live back in the day. But I have been directly affected by street violence more than once, and it's painful. Like I said, the pain and the trauma is a little different when the life is being taken away by violence. It's abrupt, it's violent, it's painful, and maybe some type of conflict resolution would be in order between people. But then with the whole no snitching thing, how do you figure out where the bottom is, where to get to the root of the issue? Because as far as I know, there's still retaliation, and I'm gonna get this person because they did that, and that sort of thing is just still going on. And again, the Baltimore ceasefire is also a really good starting point to scathe off violence. The vibe in the city is always just so different and positive and upbeat every weekend that they have a Baltimore ceasefire, and again, it's really appreciated. So we're going to take a break. You are listening to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, powered by BeExposedRadio.com. Be right back.
This flashback from the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
So you're your biggest hustle. You have to practice self-care. Every entrepreneur has to practice self-care. You have to release yourself from toxic situations.
Explain to us real quick, what is a toxic situation?
A toxic situation is something that will control your mind, something that hurts you, something that you have to battle. Toxic, hurt. If you're in a toxic situation, if you get hurt, if you get pain, if you get struggle, right? And if your spirit does not align correctly, that may be a toxic situation. So when I say you make that jump when your values don't align, you make decisions based on your values. And if those decisions don't align with your values, then that's when you say no.
Tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live on BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this flashback from the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
So you're your biggest asset. You have to practice self-care. Every entrepreneur has to practice self-care. You have to release yourself from toxic situations.
Explain to us real quick, what is a toxic situation?
A toxic situation is something that will control your mind, something that hurts you, something that you have to battle. Toxic, hurt. If you're in a toxic situation, if you get hurt, if you get pain, if you get struggle, right? And if your spirit does not align correctly, that may be a toxic situation. So when I say you make that jump when your values don't align, you make decisions based on your values. And if those decisions don't align with your values, then that's when you say no.
Tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live on BeExposedRadio.com.
Man, it is what it is. Man, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is.
This fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles, and Mr. Miles the writer.
Hip Hop K, check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio at 9/11.
Coming to y'all soon.
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
This is the reality
yes.
of the world that we're living in. A lot of young people don't have the information that is necessary to have healthy lives. And a lot of the organizations that are geared towards young people don't have individuals that are going to be as honest as this gentleman.
One of the issues that I have with this quote-unquote Christian nation that we live in is that
just the Christians,
religion allows you to live in denial, but the world does not live in denial. So who are you helping with your... all right, I'm going to stop. I'm about to do something.
The reason I shrink that or take that away because it's people who are not religious. It's people who are... They're not giving their young people, or they don't have a person that could be that honest with them. I mean, we all have that. I know I had a mother like that.
There are...
rather than...
And it's just... and it's been recently because I've recently had more interaction with teen mothers than I have in my whole life. I wasn't my mother wasn't a teen mother. Her mother was. She made sure none of her daughters were. So it was, in as I get older and working in certain areas, you tend to run into that. And one of the things that blows my mind is how often a teen mom does not talk to their child at all, period, much less their daughter that they had at 15, to say, these are the realities of sex. These are the realities of the choices that you can or cannot make. These are the reality. Like, how do you not, after going through it yourself, knowing the stress, the looks, how do you then turn and look at someone else and say, all right, good luck? I mean, this is your offspring. I'm sorry. I just get very emotional about that. It bothers me that there are a great deal of people.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Check out this flashback from the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
That's the biggest thing, is just empowerment. Just get off of the begging line. Just be proud and just get our pride and our dignity back, because as a child, we're taught how to go and beg for a job. Our parents, they literally taught us how to make sure you pull your pants up. Me, I'm 6'7", so I'm a bigger man. I was always taught how to not be threatening or intimidate people when I go into different interviews or in different scenarios. And so we're literally taught how to condition ourselves, condition our speech, everything, in order to go and beg these people for a job, because we know when we walk in the door, I have to tear down 10 stereotypes before I get past hello. So we need to eliminate that. And we need to eliminate that, and the way that we do that is employing ourselves and employing our brothers and sisters. And so that's our mission, is group economics, uplift ourselves, because I can't empower anyone until I empower myself, and change from just being willing, because it's in my heart and my passion to see my people succeed and see us do better and change the social order, because I know that we are not supposed to be on bottom. I understand who I was. I know I didn't fall out of the sky and land on a plantation. So when you have knowledge of self and you know who you are and what you come from, it's frustrating more than anything to see us in this position.
Tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange, the Artist Exchange, the Artist Exchange, the Artist Exchange,
the Artist Exchange,
Artist Exchange Live,
the Artist Exchange, the Artist Exchange,
the Artist Exchange.
Starts now.
BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host for the day, Sweet Baby, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm in the studio by myself, so I'm just talking and kicking it and just being me, and this is really fun. I'm having a good time. Nate is my engineer for the day. Hey, Nate. Hey. I got a list of topics I'm going to be going over. The next one is YouTube obsessions. I don't watch YouTube that much. We actually kind of talked about this last night. Learning stuff on YouTube. I think I'm going to get a little more into YouTube for my own personal self. I can.
It's a black hole of this everything.
It's just Nate said it's a black hole. You put yourself on?
Yeah, it's a black hole, and it sucks you in, one, and you know what?
So,
can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I don't know if they can.
Well, it's a black hole, and it basically just sucks you in, and you find yourself just watching. And for some reason, the last couple months, I wound up watching tiny house specials. Like, I think deep down inside, I want a tiny house. I don't want it to be like a trailer, but I want it to be like, because they look like actual homes. But they look like
I saw one. I don't know where it was, but they like some city bought this huge lot. And then they just started putting a bunch of tiny homes in them. And was I reading it? I may have been reading this. I don't know if I was reading it or watching it. But they bought a lot and they put all these tiny homes in them. And they were for people who transitional young adults going like that had been in the system, giving them somewhere to live. And these places were beautiful.
People they had started doing it in terms of like we started hearing about it because people were making these tiny homes for homeless people. And the city was, giving people flack because there are not only a couple states actually, states and countries around the world actually have regulations for building a tiny home. And most of the regulations for a tiny home is it's a temporary dwelling on a piece of land while you're building the other home. So that's how a lot of people are getting away with living in them. And then they have to still remain mobile because some states you have to every 2 years move because that you have to reapply for that or extend that piece of paper that you got, that permission that you got in order to build a bigger home dwelling while you're standing in this temporary like shelter building that, which people aren't building bigger homes. But then now like they're recouping buses and turning old buses, and over in the UK they have like the double-decker buses that they're turning into like homes, and it's amazing. The only thing that I can't get with is the compost toilet.
Wait a minute.
Because when you use the bathroom, I want to be able to flush and never see it again.
So what is this like? You just burying your situation? Like,
well, some of the homes actually have regular toilets in them, and then the other homes are they have these composting toilets where it sits there, and you put like this kitty litter type of
stuff over top. That is gross.
So it doesn't smell, and then at some point you have to dump it out, just like on an RV or like a motor coach bus. It has to be emptied out, and then they have an incinerator one where it goes down, it sucks it up, and it's basically like the airplane, but then it basically incinerates it where it's like on fire. So
I can deal with some incineration, but I don't know if I can deal with dumping that stuff.
But I don't want to smell it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want it to still be there when I walk away. Like that's the only problem that I have. But that's my one obsession. The other one is, I think I put it on there. It's called Grandpa's Kitchen. So it's this man that's like, it originally started and it felt like he was like living in the wilderness and like a tribe. And he's making all of these like dishes, and it started off as another lady who does it, but then the Grandpa Kitchen took over, and he's making like Kentucky Fried Chicken. He's making but it's outside. It's not like in a kitchen anywhere.
Wow!
So I don't want to eat it because he's like literally sitting there peeling it. Now he's wearing gloves and all that now because somebody probably complained. It's like, that's unsanitary, sir. You're not going to be able to cook this food without gloves. But now he's like cooking like meals. Like the last one I watched, he was making these cheese balls. And like, it's real cooking, but it's like as primitive as cooking once was. Like over fire, makeshift. Like the tools, sometimes the pots and pans are like these commercial sized pots and pans, and then the whole premise is he's making it for like orphans or like children, and then every now and again there'll be a couple children that's sitting around eating, but you never see where the food goes, but you see them packing it up individually.
Okay.
And I'm between that and Like I'll go between watching old episodes of The View or like stuff like that. But I'm obsessed with that in tiny houses.
I
don't
do
know what
not
it is.
utilize YouTube to its full potential at all. Like, I know
It's very
there's
entertaining.
a wealth. I know there's a wealth of information and foolishness and everything on YouTube. So I think I'm gonna get into that a little bit.
Don't do it. It's a black hole. I'm telling you.
But we gonna pay these bills. We will be back after this break on this Exchange Radio Show only on the Exposed Radio.
It is what it is. Radio show.
Go ahead. All right, listen. All right, say situation. Because I keep telling y'all, it's different situations in the child support thing. You can't just pinpoint one thing. You can't just say, oh, here did be. That's why you're on child support. Oh, he this. That's why you're on child support. Oh, she this. That's why she on child support. No. Sometimes it could just go off of, oh, I just called him and asked him, can he pay for the pictures? He ain't want to pay for the pictures. I'm taking his ass downtown. Yup.
Well, you got to know. Know who you dating.
Hold up.
You just like
I just called her. I just called her and asked could she just get Junior some shoes. She couldn't even get him no church shoes. I'm taking her ass downtown. Now, when you go downtown, you go down there and you get $500.
Right.
Now you mad because you getting $500, and now you really ain't getting no shoes for Junior or Lord CC because you getting $500 now.
Right.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, if you're a good father or a good mother, and you paying child support, right? You still gonna go ahead and do all that because
hold up.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, hold on, and that's another situation.
Right.
But you know what that creates? Now when we at the party, Mommy and Daddy ain't even down there speaking to each other. Cause Daddy done paid for the party and he done came out of pocket this month with $600.
Right, that's your child.
Be mad.
Listen. He shouldn't be mad, but he also has another child with his wife.
That's on him.
Okay,
go ahead.
He got another child with his wife.
Okay.
Right. And you're taking away from them.
And they taking away
taking away from
Well, he should have kept it in his pants.
Exactly.
Should have kept it in his pants. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Stop complaining.
You on some whole, he on some whole other shit over here. He on some whole other shit. I'm gonna tell
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Check out this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live on BeExposedRadio.com. In the building, we have live Mr. Michael Ryder. There we go. And Mr. Steve Yarn. They're doing a partnership based on, what was it again? The stories of the Vulcan Blazers. An awesome production that they have coming up. And now the name of it will be called
Baltimore Heat.
There we go. They were telling us a little bit about they're in the pre-production phase of developing this Baltimore-based production. It seems like a really awesome idea. I always love for more artistic events to come here, and because it's more of an event because you guys are going to actually use Baltimore as your complete backdrop of the city, and that's very awesome to hear.
Yeah, we want people to fall in love with this project through the visions and the tales we're going to tell about these firefighters, but also we want them to fall in love with the city of Baltimore. Just like they did with Miami Vice and Chicago Fire and NYPD Blue.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Starts now.
Happy Saturday, y'all, and welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, powered by BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host for today, Sweet Baby. Hey, y'all, hey. And I'm in here kicking it by myself. Nate jumped in the last one. That was fun. I like this though. I'm happy about this. I missed last week. I wasn't here last week, so I'm enjoying my time in the studio. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed being in here until I wasn't in here. And last week was a crazy week. I ain't gonna get into that, but I'm thankful that I have a new week and a new start to my whole situation. So Like, I'm here for these sound effects, though. But like I said, I have a list of topics that I've been going over, and the next one is net neutrality, which is crazy. We take so much for granted in this day and age, and I'm of that age range where I remember analog, but then I also helped usher in the whole internet, technological industry, that whole Silicon Valley age. So I know both sides of the fence, and I feel like now a lot of people take it for granted. A lot of people don't feel like they need to know how things work or know the rules. They just take it. It's just internet. It is what it is. I'm gonna watch my porn. I'm gonna watch my YouTube. I'm gonna watch, whatever it is, my Netflix, and that's just that. I don't know how it works. I don't know why it's like this. Oh, high speed, that's this, that's that. But net neutrality is in place to prevent companies that provide internet service from offering preferential treatment to certain content over their lines. The rules prevent, for instance, AT&T from charging a fee to companies that want to stream high definition videos to people. And basically what that means is for the layman, or for a poor person, I'll say, or people that can't afford paying for individual services, like you would have to pay more to get your Netflix at a clear definition and at a speed that you're going to enjoy watching it at. It'll play over slow internet, but remember dial-up internet? We talking speeds like that, unless you're paying extra. And who can afford to pay extra for each and every service that you're getting over the internet? So that's
we got away from that. I thought we were away from that. And you're already paying.
Yeah.
Like your phone bill compared to all the other charges would be a fraction of what it is. But they want us to now pay them for. So it's possible for us to have to pay to go on Facebook now, or go on YouTube. Or,
yep.
To me, that's crazy. It's crazy and ridiculous.
That's just, it's about money, and it's about control. Mm-hmm. It's a whole, I'm a outside of the box thinker. I never have tunnel vision. That's very detrimental to life, I think. You need to look at all possible ways. You need to try to think how people who aren't like you think. And there's a rabbit hole that I don't know anything about personally, but I believe is there. And there's all of the dystopian stuff, the movies and all of that type of stuff that they put out there for us to see. I believe that there's truth behind it, and just the day-to-day stuff, we're slowly working our way toward being this society that has everything snatched away. Like, we've been pacified with all of these conveniences and all of these, these things that make life easier for us. We've been lulled into ignorance, so to speak. We don't know how to do nothing. We don't know how to start no fires from scratch. Don't nobody know how to make no clothes. We don't know how to cook. Like, the microwave society. And all of that slowly being taken away, and then it's going to be snatched, and then we're not going to know what to do. And I feel like this is another step in getting us to that place where we just lost and confused, and we're going to be left at, we're going to be in the hands of the people that own this stuff. So yeah, speak out about it. Like, I don't know, I tend to, because I tend to get in too deep to this stuff, I've been kind of staying away from the politics and this and that, because I'll start getting crazy and I'll start obsessing over this stuff, which I haven't. Like, this is actually the first time that I've gone into depth even about reading about the net neutrality thing, because I know what it is and I know what it means, but then I start getting crazy, and then I start coming up with all of these theories and taking back, stuff that I knew from before, also that, putting stuff together. That's just how my mind works. But yeah, y'all, just stay mindful and stay aware of what's going on around you, and be prepared for.
To me, It's shameful for these companies now to take advantage, because this was something that Obama made law. It was one of the things that he did actually get to pass through. And now they're trying to reverse it. And I'm just sitting back and I'm just saying to myself, I wonder how many of these CEOs and executives funded like Trump's campaign, in terms of now he's reversing things and forcing us to now have to pay for things that we shouldn't have to. Like, we're already paying. If you have a cell phone, you're paying a bill already to be able to get it. It's just like our cell phones now. We pay for unlimited service, but at some point during the month, your service slows down because you've used too many gigabytes.
Right.
Well, I'm paying for unlimited. So how is it that my phone can then slow down in terms of the usage or the internet, if you will? And then we're paying for every other thing. And the people who are advertising, the businesses, are paying for those like YouTubes and stuff like that to even be there. So now I have to pay for it. So Netflix, I understand Netflix charging you because it's putting everything, it's making it convenient, and it's kind of the alternative to actually having cable. So it's giving you an alternative. So I don't have an issue with that, because as long as you have internet, you can now pay for it. But I think because so many people are leaving the cable companies to go to a Netflix, now that's what the problem is. So they don't want us to be able to do that. So they're going to charge us to get quality service for something we're already. So I'm going to pay for Netflix, but then I got to pay an additional $30 to have it high speed. So now I'm paying the same prices for cable, because remember, cable wasn't that expensive at first. Like when we had those little black boxes, those big clunky ones, it wasn't that expensive. I mean, compared to the time that we were in, it was expensive. But it wasn't, compared to now, it wasn't nearly, it was probably like half or a third of the price actually. But now people are getting to the point where they want us to pay for every little incidental.
And then I think about people who can't afford that. Like, okay, I could afford to pay extra. Would I want to? No, but I can afford to do it. I have a job. I have a steady income. But what about the people who have free internet? You know, a lot of times the internet is provided to people who don't have the income, or if you have a household. Like, internet has become a necessity to life, and they've given it free to people who can't afford it. And, you know, it's the same as everybody else. It's equal. But if net neutrality ends, they're not going to be able to enjoy the same luxuries on the internet as somebody who can afford it.
Because if you go to the public library, you see them all there because everybody can't afford it. But that's their argument. Like, all these people are getting it for free. Well, the one person getting it for free, you got 10 people paying for it.
Right.
You know, if not more, you know, for every one, it's 100 people paying for it. And what we're paying for things is so astronomical now. I looked at, I live in an apartment, and it's just me. And I don't plug, I do the unplug thing. So if it's not needed, it doesn't need to be plugged up. My service charges, now this is crazy, my service charges are more than my actual bill. So my service charge almost doubles my actual bill from like BGE. So you are paying all of these like incidental taxes to the state, to the federal, administrative fees, the line in, the line out fee. Like, you're paying all those things. Like, I remember last bill, my bill was like, and some people will be like, you're complaining, but my bill was $35. But when I looked at the bill, like half of that was service charges. It wasn't even the bill itself, because I'm not rarely ever home. So my bill should never be like anything. My bill would probably have been like $12 without all those service fees. So my question is, what do all those service fees go to?
Right.
Like, what are they doing? Like, every time you see there's an update, like we just updated the transit system here in Baltimore. So the price went up like, what, 70 cents or 40 cents or something like that? So every time there's an update, we get the upcharge. So we're paying over time for these updates.
Right.
So now you want us to pay on top of paying for the updates or the upkeep or the maintenance of it. So what is the company actually doing? How are they investing the money that we're already paying to them? That's all the only question that I had. Because I itemize all my bills, everything. Even when it comes to being in a restaurant, I'm sitting there itemizing. Like, I want to know where the money is coming from, where is it going to. Real quick, shout out to all the people that are listening online. Tina, Bina, James Harrington. That's the one's dad, right?
James, no, that's Snuggles. I'm actually not even, I wasn't watching on live, which is bad, but let me go on there now. Like, I was really into the conversation. I'm usually watching along with y'all, but...
David Faulkner. Oh, that's
Oh! Hey, everybody, hey.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? But yeah, that's one of my biggest gripes with this. But we're going to go real quick to the second story of this segment, and my question is, was Get Out funny? So they're now being given an award. So it's award season coming up, and they've been nominated for an Oscar. No, it's an Oscar. I think it's the Oscar. Well, anyway, they're in the it's being listed in the comedy section. Now, technically, it's satire. It is nonfiction, so that will be categorized in the comedy section. But to me, and the Peele, the director and producer of the movie, he doesn't feel as though he wants to have it shifted to the drama section, opposed to it being a comedy.
I agree with that. Like you said, it's satirical, satire, and it is a form of comedy.
Right.
But it was so dark. And the not even just it being a dark humor, but the social commentary behind it. The social commentary is the movie.
Right.
That wasn't funny. That's not a comedy.
Because people went into it thinking that it was going to be really funny because Peele was directing it. But he didn't have any control over placing it in the category. Like, when they submit their movies, that's done by, like, the upper execs and stuff like that. There's a people that do that, not the director that chooses that. But I think people went into this thinking that it was going to be like Key and Peele.
Right.
Like, they have a lot of dark humor and like an underlying satire in their former show. But I think people went into this thinking. I looked at the movie. I didn't find anything funny in it.
Really? Now, I found some funny stuff in it. I actually just watched it the other day with Willie. Shout out to my baby. We watched that, but then at the same time, like, I'm silly AF, so...
I mean, but you watching it, you're not... stuff make you laugh, like, but it was more stuff that, like, I catch little incidental things. That's what, like, it's not funny, but it just was like, oh my God, like the whole picking of the cotton out of the couch that eventually he used to put in his ears so he didn't hear the bell.
I think that the social commentary of it outweighs the comedic aspect of it. So no, I don't feel like it should be in the comedy category at all.
It feels like another category needs to be created, because there were other movies that were also put into that category that people would, not currently, but over the years, the movies that you would be shocked that was in that category. I'm going to pull them up when we come back from the break. But don't forget, this is the Artist Exchange Radio Show. So take some time, share it, like it, tell your friends about it. Let them know what we're doing here.
Oh, we still going? I thought it was break time.
No, we got 30 seconds.
Nate said no, keep going.
30 seconds.
But yeah, no, I don't, like, I was looking forward to Get Out for a long time, and I knew that it wasn't the typical Jordan Peele situation. And I really appreciate the movie. Like, I feel like it's one of those movies that you could write a dissertation about coming down the line, or have a class about, like, in the future, like they do with hip-hop artists or albums and stuff like that. I feel like that this is a movie that can be done too. But you are listening to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. We about to pay these bills. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's time for flashback.
Now, I'm not gonna say all Aries don't know, but
it's just the one you had. That was
just the long one, right? You know. Yeah. But it's always something that you can.
Go ahead, Bliss. Can you recollect any signs that you might like get right?
October 15th or 16th. What is that?
They're Libras.
See, I've had some good Libras and I had one really bad Libra, but he was white, so he f***ed his back anyway. So I don't.
Wait. Hold on. Wait.
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Every time.
You just have to really
have faith and believe.
Right, and it's everything isn't going to be cotton candy and clouds all the time, but you have to, even in the midst of a storm, you have to speak light over a situation and life over a situation. You cannot always go into every situation. Sometimes it gets above you, and sometimes you got to speak over yourself and bring yourself back to focus, and because you already there. But in most cases, we take ourselves there. We walk ourselves over that dark threshold because it's easy for us. It's easy for us to be victimized and to be downtrodden and in that dark place when things happen to us. But you got to figure out how to successfully move into that. And a lot of you may say, what does this have to do with being an artist? It has a lot to do with being an artist, because I don't want to just talk about ticket sales. I want you to be a healthy, long-lasting artist in your own right, a long-lasting entrepreneur. And sometimes we try to mask what's going on with us with putting ourselves to work. So I'm gonna put myself deeper into this project, and it was times where I didn't want to be a part of things. I didn't want to be, because I wasn't whole. I wasn't happy with where I was at, with things that was going on in my life, and I didn't care how successful a play was. Like I just didn't care, but all I knew was to work. So I would put myself deeper into work, and I didn't address what was going on, and sometimes that made the situation worse, because once this play or this project is over, I still gotta face that. So I was sweeping it under the rug and not thinking about it and not focusing on it, and all the while it's growing and festering and getting worse. And I'm over here just trying to be an artist, but you gotta heal from within, and it's an ongoing process, and you may never get to your destination, but the journey itself is worth fighting for. You know, even if you don't make it, you know, or you transition before you get there, but
like I don't have that if factor. It's like, you know, when we make it, like, we're going to make it. Like I don't know. Some people's like I'm not knocking what you saying if, but my version of if is like it's not. It's like it's doubt, and I try not to have if in there, because if you have if, then that means it's a but.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Saturday 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live. On BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live. The Artist Exchange.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, powered by BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host for the day, Sweet Baby. Hey, y'all. Hey. I didn't know I was going to be here by myself. I'm looking ratchet as I don't know what. But that's okay. You know, I didn't plan on being the one on camera. I'd have been cute for y'all had I known, but it's all good. Check me out tonight at the Sand Gallery, Hookah and Hip Hop, Mini Hip Hop Museum opening, grand opening January 19th through 21st. Please come out, support, donate, give us some love, show us some love, whatever. But I'm here in the studio today with Nate, serving as engineer and co-host. Nate is my co-host today. That's something. we have a list of topics that we're going over. And the next one on the list is She's Gotta Have It, the reboot of the Spike Lee classic joint, which was, I watched that for the first. I'm not really big on movies and stuff like that. So you kind of shove something down my throat for me to watch it. Pause. And I watched it maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years tops, and it was a really good movie. And I would say that the reboot is a nice nod to the original. I think I'm 5 or 6 episodes into the reboot, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's just that, like I explained to somebody else, my attention span for shows and stuff is not very, I don't have a big attention span when somebody else is telling their story. It's cool, but then I'll start going off in my own brain about some stuff, and by my nature of work, my nature of artistry being what it is, this is the kind of story that I like to tell. So as I'm watching it, my brain will start going off into my own stuff, which
you gotta learn how to like decompress.
Yeah.
And let your mind like empty out sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm working on it. Y'all. I'm working on it. But well,
this show is really far from the movie in terms of, it's like watching The Color Purple on stage versus on reading a book, or watching a movie versus reading a book.
I would say that the movie gives us a bit more to Nola Darling, to the person that she is, and why she moves the way she moves. Again, like I said, I'm only 6 episodes in, but this is what I'm getting from that. The people around her, not just the guys that she's seeing, but you're getting her parents, you're getting her best friend, and the relationship that she has with her friends, and you know, more her character, and we're getting more about who she is through her artwork. More that it's just stuff that you can't put into a movie that you can put into a whole series.
I think Spike Lee, and often writers, often you see this in authors rather than playwrights or screenwriters or TV writers, but he wrote this, in my opinion, with it being a TV pilot. Because that whole movie was all about getting to know who Nola was. There was really little to no plot in it. There was no like arc in it. It was more getting to know who she is. The only arc that I found in it was when at the end where she chose which one she wanted, but it was really a test of, can I be faithful to one person? So that was the only kind of like storyline in it, but it was really getting to know her. So in my opinion, he probably, like in the late 80s, early 90s, it was like in the 90s when this was written, it probably wasn't as possible for him to showcase something like this on TV. So I think his idea was maybe somebody will want to make this into a TV. But now that we have platforms like Netflix and YouTube and Hulu that will take a chance on something like this, it's now possible. But he had to totally update it because the fans of the movie are so much older now. So he had to take advantage of the millennial generation and the nostalgia of that movie, and really just take it to a whole nother.
I really enjoy
it's like night and day. The fact that they're even, because I don't think the movie was exploring polyamorous relationships, but it was the idea, would a man, that's one of our first questions, would a man be willing to be a part of Ayanna?
Where I am in, like, and this whole topic is hilarious to me because hashtag single is life. That's the type of time I'm on now. And just the encounters that I've been having personally, like, I'm not putting no names out there, but I'm about to talk about y'all real quick.
Names, y'all.
The encounters that I've been having with men, by me being, I work a 9 to 5. And then when I leave work, most days out of the week, I'm doing something that's related to my art, and I love it. I'm having meetings, I'm going to networking events, I'm doing a radio show, I'm working on painting, I'm coming up like over literally almost every day of the week, I'm working. And just having conversations and trying to get to know a man, like, I'm not going to sit and talk to you all day, bruh. I'm not going to do it. I don't have time to sit and talk to you all day. And it could be a day or two. Or for instance, like if I'm talking to somebody, you know how the messenger thing pops up, I might swipe it to the side because I don't have time for this right now. If you're somebody that I'm thinking about, I might come back to you. But if you haven't made an impression on me, I'm not checking for you. And I've noticed that a lot of men are offended by that. Why you ain't hit me back? Because I'm not checking for you. You have not done anything to grab my attention. I'm single. I don't have to answer to you. I think men want you to answer to them.
No, it's not that. I'm going to say I don't believe that's what it is. But for so long, women have said, can you sit still? Can you pay attention to this, to us, to me? And now that men are actually trying to do that, and it's not a game, I think it is. Because there are still men who are still doing the same thing. But what you just said is what women have been complaining about men.
No, but that's after I get to know. Let me care first. Let me get to know me.
But that's what men have been saying. Can I care about you first? Can I get to a point where I could care about you?
See, I don't know about all of this because, again, my whole little situation was I've been in long-term relationships for almost half my life. Like, my whole adult life, I've been up under somebody. This is my first year that I've been truly single and truly out in the world doing what I want to do. And now I'm getting that, oh, so you playing games and you don't have time. No, I'm busy. Like, I'm not playing. I really don't have time for this. So if you want to fit into my life, give me a little space, bro. I'm here. Just relax. And I be telling them, relax. They don't want to listen. But y'all are listening to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, powered by BeExposedRadio.com. We'll be right back after this break.
Just a Bit Outside radio show.
There is one glaring stat that I read about while watching the games over the weekend. New York Yankees went 22 straight innings with at least one strikeout.
Really?
That's a major league record for the postseason.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting statistic.
It is, you know, and then when you think about it, it's like, okay, you know, that, to me, that's like a big reason why, you know, they're losing right now.
Check out this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BeExposedRadio.com.
So we're going to get a little bit into the album with Miss Amira and learn the basis of it, the Banji soul of it all.
Yes.
So let us know, first of all, what is Banji soul?
Banji soul is basically just real. It's real soul. It's real. It's not cut down. It's not watered down. It's, you know, how as hot as it came off of my mind and my heart. That's what it is. And a lot of the times I get a little tangy, you know, banji, ratchet, whatever, however you like to put it, classify it. But I like to say banji, you know, because I'm classy.
Banji is a little classier.
It's a little classier. That's got your pinky up. Right. You got your pinky up with that.
Okay, we got to keep the B's, the bougie, the banji.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's created her own lane, Banji soul. So let us know how that is covered in the album that released on the 9th of this month, right?
Yes. Well, I did it to a number of industry tracks, including like the Beatles Come Together, and I did a Lindsay Lohan joint. You remember the Confessions of a Broken Heart?
Okay.
And a lot of stuff I aimed to like change the theme that was originated, or just to. It was my therapy.
Okay.
It was my therapy.
So that's why this is a mixtape.
Yes.
Okay, because you did a lot of remakes. Okay, I got you. The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live.
Check out this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BeExposedRadio.com.
If you had a dream venue, where would that be? Like some people want to do Carnegie Hall or like a big stadium
I
somewhere.
want to go with Madison Square. I wanna feel that
So
building.
you just gonna shoot for the moon.
I want to feel it. I want to look out and just feel the vibration of all of those people there to be uplifted and all of that, because that's what I want to do for people.
So are you dancing? Are you...
I want to implement that. I think I want to start doing some blocking. Like, not like, tear it up. But just like a,
a little 1-2,
pal. A little, not voguing, but kind of the essence of it. Very posy and, hit the mark. Yeah, we're not trying to like bust my sweats.
So that's mean you don't have the dance gene in you.
I can dance.
Okay.
That's not what I'm doing.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Starts now.
Radio show powered by BeExposedRadio.com. Don't forget, you can call me at 410-702-5657 if you so desire. Give Sweet Baby a call, y'all. It's like, no, I'm playing, but no, really call. Before we went to break, we were talking about She's Gotta Have It and pretty much the dynamic between men and women and whole life, etc. Which I feel like it boils down to, I feel like that men and women get, not even I feel like, it's a fact that women who have a lineup or who are promiscuous or who are unashamed of their sexuality and letting that freedom flag fly, we ain't even call it a freak flag, they being free with their love and their bodies, get labeled hoes. And that's one of the themes, that is the theme, well, one of the themes of She's Gotta Have It. And one of the subsections of our topic discussion is poly life. I think that a lot of people misunderstand that. I feel like monogamy is ingrained in this society, and that's just how we're taught to be. I know personally, I tried Hoe's Life briefly. It was not for me. I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, I tried it for a month and I was like, oh no, this is not where it's at for me. So I kind of, it was like, no, to all men everywhere.
Part of the poly life, and I don't judge if that works for you. Hey, do what works for you. But it ain't working for me. One, I'm not into sharing. Two,
see, I don't mind. I don't mind sharing. I don't like to be shared. I don't want everybody, like, I can't separate my time and attention and affections like that. Like, I can't do it. And I know that I can't, but however, I'm also not interested in the attention required for a monogamous relationship or a monogamous situation. I'm not interested in it.
But it's still, and that's the one, when I hear people say that in terms of poly dating, they're open to it because it supposedly means that I don't have to remember your birthday necessarily, or I'm not obligated to spend my Friday nights with you.
Now that part.
You know, those things, I get that, but it's still a relationship nevertheless, because you're still giving yourself to somebody. And that was kind of the interesting aspect. I've watched this movie several times, but I watched it last week because I knew this was going to be one of the topics today. And I watched it right in here, and it was crazy because it's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. But it's interesting to, I have friends, and all of them are struggling with it because at some point, you're going to want somebody. And somebody is going to want you to choose. And you're going to have to make a choice at some point.
But there's a difference between giving of yourself and then making a commitment to give yourself to somebody. I'm not committed to nobody. I'm going to give myself to who I want to. I ain't got to. Where the problem with me, or the problem with what I see, when people have this monogamous idea, is commitment. I don't want to commit to nobody, because that means that I'm caring more about, for my version of that, how relationships should work, and how I've been operating all of this time is making sure that the person I'm with is comfortable, is happy, is satisfied. And if that means sacrificing anything, then I'm going to do it. I'm not trying to sacrifice nothing for nobody. Anything that I don't want to do, I ain't doing it. If I'm going to give it to you, take it and appreciate it. Don't expect it. Expectations come with...
You can't then control... And that's one of the themes that both the movie and the TV show are exploring. You can't then control the other person in that. Because what happens is, and it may not happen to the individual yet, that wants this type of relationship, but somebody in that relationship is going to want... one-on-one.
You got to keep the communication open, though. You got to talk about it.
Keep it open, and as you can.
And you got to be honest. It's not enough to communicate. You got to be honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself about what it is you want. You can't.
It's not about lying to yourself, but as we clearly can see in the movie, the gentleman they knew about. She had them sit down at a table with each other. They all knew who the other one was. Like, literally, they all had dinner together. So they were okay with it, because then it turned into a competition for them. But at the end of the day, you grow and you're willing to deal with things because this is what it is, or this is how I feel in this moment. But eventually somebody is going to want to make you choose. And nobody can force you to change your mind.
And that's fine.
But you can't force somebody to change.
And that's when you walk away. That's when you say either, I just recently had a situation where I'm like, look, it's what it is. I just don't want to be in no relationship. However, if you present me with one, then I would be in one with you. At the same time, I'm good with not. And that was me being honest. I'm fine. I enjoy being single. I don't want to commit to nobody. However, if the package was right and it was what it was, I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not running away from relationships. I'm just not looking for it. And I think that people get that mistaken a whole lot when dealing with multiple people, or however it is you want to look at how polyamory or whatever, you got to be honest with yourself, and you have to have honest communication with whoever it is you're dealing with. And I feel like Nola does that, and it's not her fault that she got the sauce. It ain't on her. She's living her life the way she wants. They the ones that's like, we want to be with you, and she like,
I like the fact that not any of the norms are true for her. Like, she have both of her parents. She has a relationship with her dad. It doesn't appear that something sexually has happened to her that traumatized her, but it also looks like she's searching. That's why I think he kept it in the millennial generation, because it's something about what you want. I have friends one of my friends, he's exploring a polyamorous relationship, but it's not, everybody isn't on the same page in terms of we all together, but I'm accepting of this of you, and I'm accepting of this. And he's in a long-term relationship, and somebody else is new. And then I have friends who have tried where we're all on the same page and we're all splitting these bills together. And that then turns into somebody in that relationship wasn't being real, because then they wanted to then add another person. And they like, whoa, wait a minute, 3 is enough. We good with this. Mm-hmm. But that other person had expectations because they wasn't communicating what they really wanted, and they were trying to bring it in. And at some point, how far is this harem gonna get? Like, how far are we gonna expand this?
But then it's up to you. Like, if it's something popping off that I ain't with, I'm gonna walk away from it. Like, okay, this is not what I wanted to do. This is not what I walked in here expecting, or this is not what I wanted. This is not what we talked about. I'm done. You also got to be able to. You got to have the wherewithal to recognize when your time is done. And that's a mistake that I've made over the years, which is why I was in which is why I was in 4 really stupid long-term situations, because I wasn't sure when it was time to walk away. You got to be aware of that, and you just got to be really self-aware to be able to. And that's one thing that Nola Darling is. She's extremely self-aware of who she is and what she wants. You got to be self-aware in order to live that type of life. So
I'm not, because we could come back to this one another time.
Nate said enough.
I still think this is the craziest thing in the world, and I'm not judging anybody. I just feel that communication has to happen, but everybody has to realize that evolution happens, and at some point, I want something different. I don't think anybody goes into this realizing that it could be something long-term or it could be something temporary, but it's just how I'm feeling now. And that's dangerous when you're dealing with other people. And I can see if you're not being honest, but the funny part to me, or the ironic part rather to me, is women are talking like men are talking, used to talk, or are talking, and they don't see it.
But what's the problem with that, though? And that's a fantastic segue into the next topic. Like, you know, like, that's a fantastic segue into this next topic with Alice Walker in The Color Purple. Now, I didn't know about that.
Well, her daughter's name is Rebecca Walker. And just we all know who Alice Walker is.
Yes.
She is a renowned writer and the writer of The Color Purple.
Yes.
That says it all. She's also a strong, starch feminist.
Yes.
Who has really strong feminist values and views. And the issue with her daughter is she feels as though her mother neglected her in her beliefs and in her work.
I just looked it up.
Actually, she goes as far as, now, because Alice Walker is who she is, she got top billing in this lineup, but she's speaking about both her father. Her father is actually a white man who is an activist as well, and he's well off. So she feels as though both of them deserted her in her career, but the article kind of points more towards Alice because of her feminist
yes
quality.
I looked it up because, again, I didn't have any idea about this at all, and it's really interesting that you said that women are talking like men are talking now, which I don't have I'll get into that, but just what her daughter said was like, my mother's feminist principles colored every aspect of my life. As a little girl, I wasn't even allowed to play with dolls or stuffed toys in case they brought out a maternal instinct. Right. It was drummed into me that being a mother, raising children, and running a home were a form of slavery. Having a career, traveling the world, and being independent were what really mattered, according to her. I love my mother very much, but I haven't seen her or spoken to her since I became pregnant. She has never seen my son, her only grandchild. My crime? Daring to question her ideology. So, that's extreme.
It is. It definitely is. And without, because she's an adult now, but not taken away from anybody's perception. But her mother has come out and vaguely talked. Her daughter is now, in my opinion, trying to compete with what her mother has been able to create. And because she's actually getting some of the same type of success, not to the level of her mother, but along the same lines. And I think only because I've had a small instance with my mother, and I've realized some things, and my mother's actually apologized for some of the choices, but in short, saying I didn't have a handbook for this. There's no handbook for this.
Right.
Every parent, I'm saying we, but all parents go into it, and you can speak to this, you go into this knowing how you were treated, whether you want to emulate that or go the opposite way, or you go into it with the idea of this is who I am and this is what I'm going to bring to the table and I'm going to learn this along the way. And I think that's what my mother did, because my mother now has foster children, and I be like, you letting them do that? Like, that's how we banging now? But I understand where she's coming from in terms of a career overshadowing. But as a child, you feel that way. But as an adult, the fact that she's probably in her 40s, Rebecca Walker, I would say probably 30s or 40s, feeling this way. And it's something, no matter what and I wrote a post on this, no matter what your mother or father did or did not do, you'll always have a problem with they didn't give you enough time, enough candy, enough. They didn't give me the costume I wanted at Halloween or the gift I wanted on my birthday or Christmas. And it's always something. And I can speak like this now because I had a list of fingers that I was pointing at my parents. And I just realized as an adult, at some point you gotta take responsibility for it.
My thing was being sheltered, which is a double-edged sword. Like, it has its positive things about it and negative, so I don't necessarily point at her and place blame on that. My siblings were of the streets. They was doing, like, it was the 90s, they was living life. And my mother was like, no, we're not doing this with you. You read these books, play with these dolls. So I was up under my mother and my grandparents all the time. Like, don't leave off the porch or come back on the porch when the street lights come on. Like, I was that kid. And it's kind of a double-edged sword because now as a grown adult, and then like from going to that into being sheltered in relationships, now being out and about in the world, is like I'm a little bit lost on how people operate and how people function, and bringing it back to, you know, the feminist aspects of it, like raising your daughter like that. I can see where she's coming from, but at the same time, you some stuff is instinctual. You can't beat that out of somebody, or you can't snatch away dolls and toys and this and that from somebody because they are instinctually a traditional woman. Like, and then even saying stuff like that nowadays is just so, like, I don't know what to say.
But it's not nowadays. She's speaking from a moment where this was probably like the 70s, early 80s, maybe late 60s.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that her just yanking, or just in general, you cannot change who somebody is by taking stuff away or adding to their, like, that's not how people operate. You can be influenced by it, but she didn't see the detriment that she was putting her daughter in at the time.
But see, and this is the problem that I have with, and her daughter is surprised that her mother doesn't want to have anything to do with her. I don't think her mother's feelings have changed, but it's the idea of you writing these. You're not just confronting me. You're telling this to the world.
Oh, yeah, that.
Right, and I think part of the thing is, like, what I don't think her daughter is getting now, and what she'll get once her child is a teenager, the world that you're living in. And the world that Alice Walker was talking about, look at The Color Purple. So it would not shock me that Alice Walker would take this, and I'm not defending her, but what is done is done. You can't reverse your childhood and start all over again or get a new parent. But what I think her daughter's failing to believe, some parents do this to protect you. Like, your parents thought that they were protecting you because you already had siblings that chose a certain way and had a certain amount of freedom.
Right.
And with that freedom, they went buck wild. So the only thing to do is, okay, I'm gonna go the exact opposite. My mother was the exact opposite. I could not, like, literally, she had me in school 24 hours a day, 365. I went to school all year round. Elementary school, I always was in a summer camp that started weeks after school. And you remember, summer camps used to go from right when school ended to right before. It's not like it's a 2-week program like it is now. By the time I got to middle school, we were going to school a year round. So every program she could put me in to keep me from sitting on the steps on Myrtle Avenue, she did that. And I respect her now for that. But at the time, I was in school, like halfway to school, when y'all was wiping the crust out of your eyes. And I was like, Mom, like, this is not fair. I'm only in the 5th grade. Why do I have to go to school like this? Like, before care, after care. And it wasn't that she didn't want to do it, but she knew she had 10 brothers and sisters under her. And she wanted me to not be any of them. And I get that now, but at the time I'm like, when you're not letting me do nothing. I didn't wear jeans until I was a teenager.
So do
like,
you think that with Alice Walker's daughter, do you think that she's not seeing that her mother was trying? You think that she's not seeing what her mother was trying to do, and that's where the issue lies?
Yeah, I think that's exactly. And her mother was Alice Walker. The Color Purple came out in the 80s, so this girl probably was like 10 or 11 then. So one, your mother had to show you're not a crackhead. That's number one. I'm thinking her daughter's probably like late 30s, early 40s. You missed the crack epidemic. You missed the child star epidemic. And the things that I think sometimes you have to line up what was a blessing versus what was a lesson, what was hard versus what was good in your childhood. And then you'll be like, okay, well, my mother didn't use drugs. My mother wasn't a crap. And that's not to say if those things I have every right to be against my parent. But what it should tell you is your mother was protecting you from what now is coming out. All of these men, a lot of them did this dirt then. So your mother was protecting you from a world that she thought would always be like that, where women did not have a right. Women could not say anything. The reason all of these women are coming out now with Bill Cosby and Weinstein and all of them is because they did not have that right to do that. It was a very male-driven society where if a woman came out, she was Anita Hill and she was laughed at. Like she was scolded. Monica Lewinsky is the joke of the millennium. And Bill Clinton is now who he is. He's now so your mother was protecting you from this. And I think somebody needs to say it. Her mother's not going to be able to say it. Maybe if her father said it, or some other male figure in her life, or somebody that she does respect says this to her, maybe she'll get it. But your mother was protecting you from a world that you would not deem a whole citizen in. And now that she's adult, she's now reflecting back on this and trying to make money off of it. That's how I see it. Because you didn't go to your mother. It was in the article that I think you read from, you were sharing. She was also talking about when she told her mother that she was pregnant.
Yes.
And her mother stated, I think her mother did not even acknowledge it. And she talked over it. And she talked about how hurt she was. So I think she equated how her mother treated that situation to how her mother treated her. I don't think your mother was ashamed that she had a baby, but a lot of us are, especially 20, 30 something, a lot of us don't want to bring children into this world anymore because this is the world that they're coming into. A lot of people, like the pregnancy rate is actually going backwards now because people don't want to bring, one, they can't afford it, two, they don't want to bring people in a world where if they look like us, we targets.
Right.
Like we're targets right now. So I just think it's a misunderstanding and somebody needs to mediate this. Somebody that the two of them equally respects. And I don't think that person probably exists in this world, but they probably have a family member or a family friend that they both equally respect that could probably mediate this before it goes any further. And her daughter needs to stay. She needs to not write another book about this. She needs to not talk to any more press. She needs to not do any more interviews about this until because this is her mother. Right. Why are you doing interviews on how your mother treated you? Are you looking for your color purple? That's all I can think about. And I don't want to discredit her feelings, but she living reckless. And that's that. When I read this, I was heated. And I'm not even a parent. I was heated.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a certain way you do things. I do agree with that. Coming out without having talked to her mother about it was not something that she should have done.
She probably couldn't talk to her mother. I agree with her in that because you can tell like her mother just doesn't want to deal with it. So it's going to take somebody that can mediate this for them.
Right.
That's in that place and says, okay, you need to listen to each other. And if Alice Walker was able to sit down with Rebecca Walker and say, these are the things that I was trying to protect you from. This is why I did what I did. And then Alice Walker hear Rebecca Walker say, well, this is how I felt when you did such and such. And they actively listen to each other. That's the only way. I'm not saying therapy, but they definitely need a mediator to be able. Maybe Ayanna can fix their life. Maybe that's what her daughter wants. And I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't on next season of Ayanna Fix My Life. And it's not even funny to me. It's just, we go to media. I think we said this yesterday. We go to the media before we go to the person, like the source of it. But again, we're gonna take a quick break. I got heated. I'm sorry. That was my hot button moment right there. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com. Check out this flashback from the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
So you're your biggest asset. Mm-hmm. You have to practice self-care. Every entrepreneur has to practice self-care. You have to release yourself from toxic situations.
Explain to us real quick, what is a toxic situation?
A toxic situation is something that will control your mind, something that will hurt.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Check out this flashback from the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
That's the biggest thing, is just empowerment. Just get off of the begging line. Just be proud and just get our pride and our dignity back, because as a child, we're taught how to go and beg for a job. Our parents, they literally taught us how to make sure you pull your pants up. Me, I'm 6'7", so I'm a bigger man. I was always taught how to not be threatening or intimidate people when I go into different interviews or different scenarios. And so we're literally taught how to condition ourselves, condition our speech, everything, in order to go and beg these people for a job, because we know when we walk in the door, I have to tear down 10 stereotypes before I get past hello. So we need to eliminate that. You know, and we need to eliminate that, and the way that we do that is employing ourselves and employing our brothers and sisters. And so that's our mission, is group economics, uplift ourselves, because I can't empower anyone until I empower myself, and change from just being willing, because it's in my heart and my passion to see my people succeed and see us do better and change the social order, because I know that we are not supposed to be on bottom. I understand who I was. I know I didn't fall out of the sky and land on a plantation. So when you have knowledge of self and you know who you are and what you come from, it's frustrating more than anything to see us in this position.
Tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live. Big Exposed.
Even as a comedian, if I say a joke and it just might not fit your cup of tea, but it's mine, that's what a comedian is supposed to do.
But people forget.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Are tuned into the Artist Exchange Radio Show, powered by BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host today, Sweet Baby, aka Zakia Ayanna. Hey y'all, hey. Nate is my co-host and engineer. We were discussing Alice Walker and The Color Purple, and he went off for a minute. And I was here for it, and I was like, oh, all right, true.
And I don't think that people should, like, as a mother, there are probably things that you acknowledge, I should have did that differently. But you talk to your child.
Yes.
There are a lot of parents that don't. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Or there are a lot of parents that now they're talking to their children about sex or relationships, and their children are having to figure that out for themselves. And it's hard. But at some point as an adult, you have to get up from that. You can't just stay stuck in, my mother treated me bad, and then that gives you the reason to treat people like a-holes, for the rest of your life. It's not an excuse at some point. Ignorance is stupidity at some point. Like, it's you not choosing to, or you choosing to be in that place. And I'm not a person that can just air out my family business to the media. Like, I would never go to, like, a therapist and cry over something that I haven't even talked to my mother about. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. But the next topic.
And don't forget, y'all, you can call in at 410-702-5657. Don't be scared. Give me a call. I want to give a shout out to my Aunt Cora. Thank you, Aunt Cora. She be on every week, like every show. And she actually actively participates in the comments on the live. So thank you, Aunt Cora. I love you. I'm looking forward to seeing you. But next up, like, I had started getting into this earlier, and Nate was like, chill, no chill, later on, later. But this whole sexual harassment situation, which again was a great segue from the last topic. Yeah, I'm not surprised by any of it, because if you stay aware of, I don't talk a lot about this stuff. I watch it though, and I recognize too that another thing that I say is that I wasn't abused or touched or none of that as a child, but let me get into the actual topic of the sexual harassment and this whole situation. Now, in no way am I victim shaming or victim blaming or any of that, but these men with power, at what point are we able to look at the woman's role in these situations? Now, a lot of times women be looking at men, oh, you got this, you got money, you got this, and I'm not saying that it's okay for a man to forcefully do anything with a woman or drug her or none of that, non-consensually, but a lot of times you get groupie love. And there's women that's like, oh, he do this, oh, he do that. And then a lot of times these same women, when it backfires or it don't work for them, can turn around and be like, oh, you raped me. Oh, you drugged me. And this, that, and the like, in the 70s, everybody was doing Quaaludes and all of this type of stuff.
And we making it seem like Bill Cosby was this.
Yeah, and I'm not in no way defending these men that's doing this messed up stuff, because wrong is wrong. But however, it's not always one-sided. Sometimes it is, it ain't always. And at what point do we start differentiating between what was consensual, what wasn't, who's lying, who's ain't? Are we gonna always believe the woman that said he drugged me, or was you in here popping lewds until you couldn't take no more?
What about, so for me, it gets confusing, not confusing, one, and I'll say, I have a perspective because I sit in a courtroom and watch my uncle be accused of rape, and then he laugh and joke about it not being true. I watched an uncle sit when he was 16, sit in a principal's office while a young lady accusing him of rape says, I only said it because he slept with my friend. Like, he cheated on her and slept with her friend, so I didn't want to sleep with him anymore, and that's why I said it. These are real life experiences for me, and I know that doesn't equate to all of those women who have come out, because it's up in the thousands now, all these cases that are coming out. But like you just said, so you're in a hotel room with a married man that you know is married, and what did you think he wanted? And with the Matt Lauer, and I'm not victim shaming. So if he raped you, he deserves to be arrested, lose his livelihood, all of that. But I'm saying to you, at what point do you stand up for yourself and say no? A lot of them women were afraid that they were going to lose their job.
Right.
So you will put your mental stability underneath a paycheck. Like, that's the part, and that's the part, that's why I got so heated with Rebecca Walker, because you may not understand this is what your mother's protecting you from. But on the other side, a lot of these women are with these men that they know is married, that they know are high-profile individuals. And I suspect a lot of these situations are, you didn't give me what I wanted, or buyer's remorse. So I went into this thinking that I was going to be your one, and I'm not. Because there are a couple cases where the women went back They went on another date.
Right.
Why would you go on another date with somebody that you said raped you the first time? Or why would you be in Bill Cosby's office or his home, his second home, and you know Camilla was somewhere? Camille was his wife. Why would you be in that situation? And that's what I want to talk to young people in general about. Don't put yourself in situations.
Take accountability.
It's not worth it.
I think a lot of times people don't, and then they, somebody says, there's a whole thing out there's like, I don't care if I come to your house and I strip down butt naked and I this and I that, then what are you doing that for? You have to take accountability, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about as far as, that balance between being sheltered and then because I'm extremely traditionally old school, feminine. I got a man. I'm a cook. I'm a clean. I'm a serve you your plate. I'm a rub your back. I'm a do whatever. And that's one reason why I'm not trying to be monogamous and have that whole situation, because when I go in, I go in. I don't feel like doing all of that right now on nobody else's terms, because that's just how I am. But at the same time, I'm aware too that I have a responsibility to myself to be safe. I have a responsibility to recognize how the world is. The world not going to change overnight. The dynamic is not going to change overnight. So I have to protect myself from how things are, but at the same time, you can still work toward changing them, but still be accountable for your actions, still have respect for yourself and your person, and have an understanding. That goes into not having this tunnel vision or this tunnel way of thinking that there's only one way to think. You got to think you got to try to put yourself in everybody's shoes. You got to try to think how a man thinks. Even biologically speaking, men respond differently sexually than women do. You got to understand that. Why would you get butt naked around a man that you not like?
We're being told differently now because she's gotta have it out. But yet you're telling me that. So put this to the side for a second. My issue is and I'm not saying whether it's right or not, but I am afraid that I may say, you looking real good today, Ayanna, and you like sexual assault.
Right. I agree.
And at what point, where's the line at?
Right.
And for me, I am seeing this on a real life schedule, not on the schedule of celebrity or
right.
I'm seeing this on a real life applied application of it, and it's. If I'm not attracted to you, it's sexual assault. If it's not, if I don't want to sleep with you, it's groping. It's forceful, and that's what I am seeing. We see it on Facebook. If somebody who is a friend of you, only way that somebody can call you via Facebook if there's already a friend on your Facebook. You can't call somebody. You can't even you can send somebody a message, but it goes to another message box if they aren't already on your page. So when I send you a message telling you that I'm attracted to you or whatever, you're looking at all the qualifications. Do you have a nice money? Is this the guy who have a nice car? Do he have his own house? Does he have, does he look, am I attracted to this person? Oh no, he being a creep. No, you're just not attracted to him. So just tell him, no, I'm not attracted to you. I don't want to do this. And now I see women who do that, and then it gets to an ugly phase. But understand the other lady who got them to a point where they were rock hard in the bedroom. It was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. And I'm not teasing her for doing that. But why put yourself to a point at a point? Because at any point you say no. I'm supposed to stop. True. But why put yourself in a situation where somebody is rock hard, about to insert something in you that you agreed to? We've seen cases where both of the people were drunk and the man has gone to jail for it. Because she felt like, I didn't want to do that. I would have never done that if I wasn't drunk. But it's just, I'm sorry, I've seen people be accused of rape and they didn't do it. And I just, it's not even that I don't believe all these women. I just can't. I gotta question each case, and I want each case tried, and I want them to stop going to the media before they go to a lawyer. Like I don't want a book deal. I want that written in the contract. You can't write a book about this. Are you doing this for healing purposes because it's really hurt you or damage your life, or you trying to get into the acting world or the entertainment world? Like I need that to be clarified.
I made a post the other day, like kind of touching on this. I really didn't respond too much on the post because my opinion is not the typical, like the response. Like I said, I'm not victim blaming. I'm not victim shaming. If you're a victim, then you have the right to speak out. You have the right to, you deserve to be believed. You deserve to be listened to. But like I said, a lot of times there's no accountability either. Like you said, you know, it's based on whether or not I'm attracted to you, whether you're being a creep or not. So I made a post, and a gentleman responded. Isaac Parker said, sometimes to avoid any drama, I just don't say anything. Not a good morning, good night, hi, hello, or bye. I will still open the door, but I avoid eye contact. Everyone is just so easily offended. What was once okay yesterday is frowned upon today. I get it. Things change. The risk is greater than the reward. I think that's messed up. Like, is that not...
Women been begging for chivalry, and I need that.
Yeah, like that's taking away some, like a little teeny tiny piece of humanity, that the risk of being kind, or the even, like, you know, my post was about being called sweetheart and baby girl and stuff. I don't mind that stuff. I've never looked at a man in the street like, who you talking to? I ain't your baby girl. Don't be like, I feel like that's too much. I'm not of that whole, you know, forcefully pushing away or forcefully not accepting being called a nickname by a stranger. He don't know my name. And you know, one of the comments was one of the responses to that, LNG said hi and hello and good morning work perfectly fine and are neutral, which is also true. But sometimes, you know, he may be attracted to you and just trying to put a little sweetening on it, or he may be just who he is. Like, he may be that person, but and you taking your personal experiences by, you know, the uncle that touched you when you was 12, and or, you know, the guy that raped you. And I understand that. I have been physically assaulted by somebody. Have I taken that out on anybody else? No. At what point do you become accountable for your own healing, and then how you project that out onto other people? You can either learn from your life and what happened in it and progress and grow, or you can hold on to that stuff and stay stagnant and sink into this abyss of get away from me, don't touch me, I'm hating everybody.
I've been called a lot of things by individuals that comment on your page. I'm just saying that. And it's all because, and I don't even know why I can't speak about it because, but I always say me, I'm that person. Like, every other person I know is a woman. I have very few male acquaintances or friends. Most of them are just business acquaintances. And I've been called certain things because I'm seeing you being evil towards individuals that you're not sexually attracted to.
Right.
And because you're not sexually attracted to someone, it should not lead to me being a creep or me being labeled as creepy. I just had a conversation online where it's kind of spiraled out of control, and I made mention to her. I said, I see you on the street and I speak to you, and you turn around and act as if you're not even there. And her response to me was, I had a feeling that somebody was staring at me, and it creeped me out. And I said hello when I turned around, and I was like your verbiage is off. And we're so far into this rape culture that is being promoted, and I say promoted because it definitely needs to be. Like, a lot of these men need to be unveiled, but I need each one of these situations to be examined, and that's probably going to cost a lot of money to do so, but I would rather pay money towards something so my name is not tarnished for the rest of my life. And I only say that because what if it was I was just having a bad day that day, and I took what you said to me and I try not to get too personal on this show because it just, I don't worry about what people say, but what people think does affect your livelihood. And I at some point I just don't care. So I'm just gonna say it. As a man who kind of took on the shape of my mother, I've been disrespected in terms of what people say to me late night, me on my way home or something like that. And depending on my mood is my reaction sometimes, but I've learned how to just ignore it and keep it moving. And I'm not saying that everybody should do that, because you should confront people for doing that, because that's why people continue to do it, because people don't confront them. But I can't treat the next person I meet as somebody who's going to do that to me. Because what I'm doing is I'm expecting for you to be a pedophile. Right. I'm expecting for you to be disrespectful. I'm expecting for you to be disrespectful or aggressive or a rapist. And you can't live your life looking at every man that you see as a rapist.
Right.
That is not healthy for you or the people that you're in contact with. And I really feel for women who have had to deal with this their whole life. And to certain degrees, I can personally say I understand it. But I understand, and I also understand what it takes to get over something like that and get through it and not be looking at every person that looks like. And the crazy thing, and I can laugh at this now, but I used to watch Judge Mathis. And being molested as a child, the person who did it looked like Judge Mathis. And I remember looking at that show, and I used to get so angry, but I kept watching the damn show. And I think I was trying to relive that moment when he first came on. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why the hell am I even watching the show? And I felt myself getting angry, but I would watch it to the end. And then I would watch a repeat of it. And I was like, at some point, I have to get myself out of this cycle, because I never addressed it. I never dealt with it. I thought I was being a man and just dealing with it. But you have to, at some point, heal who you are and the behavior. Now, I'm not telling a woman she can't wear a mini skirt, because if that's what makes you feel sexy, do what you do. But just understand that the attitude that you put out in terms of, and like a lot of these conversations, I try to relate them to the arts. The way people cast you, we joke Tyler Perry all the time, but it ain't, in our opinion, every man that he casts is tall, sexy, handsome, and that's for a reason. Because if somebody doesn't want to sleep with you, they can't even respect your talent. They don't even look at Hollywood now. Everybody looks the same. Everybody is working out the same. Everybody, I'm over it. Sorry. I am. And it always goes back to my two uncles that I saw being accused of rape. And being somebody that was molested, I still look at that situation because I understand this side of it. But I see what it was for somebody to be accused of rape and what that feels like. And it doesn't, I don't even know what that feels like personally. But it gotta feel crazy to be in a situation where, like, now somebody says something and now it gives somebody else the courage. I call it courage because that's what it is, if it actually did happen to you, to come out. And I understand why a lot of women are now choosing to come out, because they feel like I have a number of people supporting me in this.
Right.
But a lot of these women are lying, in my opinion. I'm gonna just come out and say it. Because look at the Usher situation. That case has been dropped.
Right.
Now, if he really did something to you and forcefully did this to you, he would be in jail right now. Like, it would be no question. But sorry, I choose the topics and I still get upset.
I think it's just at a point where I think that all of this is the signal of a shift. I think that women should be able to, I think that everybody should be able to be whoever they are, period, without being labeled a hoe or a rapist or a creep or whatever. Be yourself. And I think that all of this stuff happening now is a shift in that direction. So I'm just watching. I stay out of it most times because like I said, my opinion is different, and I'm not here to be arguing. I'm on my love and light, my love and light kick. So I'm not trying to argue with nobody about their viewpoint, and especially not somebody with a dogmatic viewpoint who only sees things this way. So I don't know. I feel like.
Are you worried? Because you have a son and brothers. Like, are you worried that are you examining, like, how, and I'm not questioning you, but just more so, is that a part of your conversation with him and dealing now? Because he's in high school now, right?
As far as that goes, again, my opinion on that, and like what I tell William, I honestly don't want to say over the air what I tell him, because I'm not here for the backlash that I'll get from that. But as having a different viewpoint and a different understanding helps me be able to tell him what I tell him as far as dealing with women. Still be kind. Well, my son is extremely kind-hearted. He's artistic. So, he's writing poetry, and he be putting his feelings into these young girls who are being taught the opposite. So while I commend him being how he is and as kind as he is, I gotta roughen him up a little bit on the edges. That's not to say be mean, be a gentleman still, but just be careful and be aware, and don't take everything at face value. I'm trying to teach him to look at these different avenues of thought, because it's 7 billion people in the world. An infinite number of thoughts, an infinite number of scenarios. Try to put yourself mentally in as many as you can so that you can make the right decision based on the information you have in front of you.
And that's justifiably forcing him to step outside of his character at moments in his life.
Right.
And I say justifiably because it's what is necessary. My mother used to always tell me, you can't be, everybody not your friend.
Right.
Like, just because you got things in common, don't mean you friends.
I'm still learning that myself as a whole entire, I'll be 26 next week. It's like, no.
I read that online. I was like, wait a minute.
As a whole entire adult, I'm still learning that.
Yes, for delusion. Yes.
I'm still learning that not everybody is my friend. And somebody told me very recently, stop making friends with bitches. Like, that's what I was told.
That has to happen. It's not a decision you make. It happens naturally.
Yeah.
You wake up like, oh wow, we're cool now. Oh,
yeah,
wow,
and that's just me, because I'm like, I be loving everybody. Like, I really be like, let me spend a little time with you. Like, I'm like, hey, oh yeah, well, let me do this, let me do that, we can do that. And that's just me. But not everybody is operating like that. Like, some people know not to make friends with everybody. So
everybody's doing it, but they're not deserving of it. Just you giving them that, and it's sad because we're supposed to be loving creatures to everybody that crosses our path, but we're now in a space where I can't even be nice to you.
Right.
You will take that as a weakness.
Yes.
And then try to shoot your shot and get over with me.
Right.
Like we and it's naturally for me growing up around a home full of women to be nurturing. I know what it is to take my head off when I'm in a room full of women. I know what it is to hold the door. And then you find yourself putting in that situation, and then people abuse it. And so what do I do now? So now the gentleman who responded on your post, that's one nice guy that's probably being taken off the market now.
Yeah.
And not being, not being his genuine self. Now he's cautious, and now he looks like a creep around women because he can't, he doesn't know what to do. And Well, that's the end of the show. That's a nice conversation. You made it through a whole show.
Yes. Oh, y'all. I made it through a whole show. It's my first time, y'all, being in the studio completely by myself with my co-host, Nate / engineer. Thank you for tuning in, everybody that tuned in. I really appreciate the support. Catch us next week, Friday, from 7 to 9. Same place, different time. But I just said the time, so you'll be there. Tune in. Yes, thank you for listening to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Real artists, real talk, real live. Until next week, have a good one.
Be Exposed Radio.
And more money, let them know like you're gonna get a hit if you do some rap stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, appropriation, like they be getting that money. I was just about to talk about that too. Appropriation. Is it appropriation when they do? Because you know Miley Cyrus. Like think about it. You got like Miley